focused on, or just they're just projecting their own shit on you, that you know what, my etiquette's good. You have a problem right now, and like, get off my back. So I think that's also important to know, the language, so that when someone's like being a bully out there, you can just, draw the line, essentially.
I would argue there's a lot of entitlement in surfing. I experience it myself, where I even feel this, and I have to work through that, because you surfing 30 something years, you think, fuck, I've been putting my time in. I've, been through all the crap around here when beaches were closed and all these things. You tell yourself, I deserve this wave. A lot of times it's like, and it's that hunger for getting waves, because we're addicted to it, and there is a finite resource, like we said. So I think there is that entitlement, and that, of course, then crosses over into white male entitlement too, I think, which I think a lot of people in the lineup feel. And I'm not going to lie, like, I sometimes struggle with it. It's a default reaction sometimes.
I just want to jump in on that because yes, there's the identity politics dynamic that, like, white men are most likely to feel entitled to anything. There's also the dynamic of just generally access in surf. Like, you are a white man is much more likely to be a proficient surfer than somebody who's not a white man, just because of the spoken word, like, patriarchal, like, someone is much more likely in the lineup to be nice to you and tell you what you're doing wrong in, like, a normal way if you're a white man,
right? Because
they will, like, see themselves in you or whatever. And I think there's a lot of, like, subcurrents like that sort of entrench. Like, I think a lot of people get defensive. They're like, I'm, like, not, like, don't attack my identity. But it's like, it's more than just, like, your identity. It's also these kind of, like, prevailing systems.
The privileges.
Totally. And we've been conditioned, I think a lot of us brought up a certain way, and we have to unlearn a lot of it. It's really a big thing, actually. We have to unlearn our habits and knee-jerk reactions that I think many of us have grew up with. This is a bit of a stretch, but like having abusive parents, you end up being abusive a lot of times. The studies have shown, and I'm not saying that, but in surfing, like, you grow up with a mentality and the lineup, and you repeat it because it's just a learned behavior subconsciously that we all have to be much better aware of.
I mean, we are living in a country that has a culture of toxic masculinity. That's embedded in our culture. Why wouldn't it be also in surf culture, right? And so these things are, I think as water people, we have an opportunity to unravel it. I mean, I think what was beautiful about Momentum Generation is it kind of sets up that story, right? You have all these surfers, male surfers, on the tour who've made a name for themselves and really took the sport and the profession to a really incredible place. But at the kind of root of their stories were these, kind of toxic male figures at home, and then also growing up on, in that culture, in the surf culture, and then on Hawaii's North Shore. And, and so I think what's interesting with surf culture now, and with all the kind of like so-called alternative surf cultures that are coming to fore, and this kind of diversity that we're seeing, that it's kind of expanding the sport and expanding. I think I don't feel like it's locked into
it.
For sure. I mean, there's the culture, and there are those idiots, and they're there. And, but I feel like as an industry, it's going to expand, because the numbers, as far as even just if we're talking about commodification of surfing, if you're going to try and make money, and it's like even Vans, right? Like, I think there's an article that talked about that they had included, some kind of queer campaign or something like that. And
dude, Love Letters to Skateboarding, Jeff Grosso, LGBTQ series is one of the best things I've seen this whole year.
I mean, if there's one thing you can count on with capitalism, is if there's a buck to be made, they'll expand. But
or maybe they identify, hopefully, too.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hopefully we're getting to a place where we're really trying to access our humanity and seeing that it's not just about identities, it's about the expansion of everything, and even why people even come to the water now. Why do we have so many adult surfers? I mean, there's access because of online how we can access information and resources and whatnot. But also we have, I think we want to expand as, in terms of whether we're land creatures and want to now be water creatures and expand our communities and learn more. And hopefully, surfing can help us access that. And I also think by design, it's really great that we do have more people coming into the water, and hopefully that'll translate to water, like environmental issues, being much more pervasive as far as our knowledge of it and activism, because our oceans need a lot of help for many reasons on many levels, whether it be plastic or as a sign of climate change, and I think the more we can access it, we can see how those affect our specific communities, like not just coastal communities, but also how it affects Black and brown communities or queer communities, women, and even resources when things happen, get filtered equally.
Yeah, and the Rockaway is like a perfect example of that.
Yeah,
I think with Sandy and just generally being like the literal barrier between the ocean and New York City.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's beautiful and almost symbolic that JFK is there, right? It's the airport to the world, and
yeah, no, I mean, it's how many people are members of the club?
We have 53 people in our Slack.
53.
I don't.
In your Slack?
Still.
I want to be in the Slack.
You can definitely be in the Slack.
I'll send the link.
I love a Slack.
And we have almost 900 followers on Instagram. But other than that, there isn't like a concrete.
There's no like membership, like fees and dues yet and stuff like that.
Not yet.
When you get the bungalow for everyone to share, that's like, that's when the membership starts, right?
No, actually, it's super important that like Benny's is not out to make $1, and like
no, yes,
sorry, it will always be free.
I didn't mean like that.
Well, the rainbow capitalism thing is so real. Like there are a bunch of like, I don't know,
rainbow washing.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out looking to make their dollar.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, power to them, but like that's not what we're doing.
Yeah.
No, definitely. And then, I mean, it's interesting if you think about it too. Like on the pro tour, I think I've only seen maybe 1 or 2 professional surfers come out, male professional surfers come out
after
and
they've
statistically
retired.
Speaking, you would think there would be more too. And it's really interesting how it still feels like Tyler Wright coming out was such a big deal, I think. And it's kind of wild that professional surfing has not really, really explored it more and embraced it. You have like guys like people like Matt Branson, who was, I don't know if you're familiar with him. Mm-hmm. He was a professional surfer who loved Sepultura and Metallica and had tattoos and really showed this big, aggressive male, masculinity, actually. It was real interesting. And, if you saw him in 89 or 90, and obviously basing off certain stereotypes and stuff, you wouldn't have thought or known. And then he came out eventually, but it took a long time past his career. Mm-hmm. And it is my hope, like organizations like yours will make other surfers feel okay to come out like that and to feel like shouldn't be a big deal. It's ridiculous that it is in some ways, I think.
I think she's the only pro surfer who's come out in her career. I think everyone else has come out after they've retired, right? And maybe Keala was outed by someone. But yeah, she did come out actually. It
took her a while. She actually kept it under wraps for her time on the CT, I think.
I mean, I interviewed her, and it also came out of a kind of life and death situation where, and Tyler Wright going through what she went through, and then she did that piece. And I think maybe that just reset the priorities, and also Tyler, she comes from a big family of surfers, professional surfers, so like she's just undeniable, right? So it's hard for the the tour to say anything basically about it, or to, portray it in any kind of negative light. But I think things are changing. I think there is the WSL is understanding inclusion is important. It feels like they've made a big change in recent years in terms of how they approach female surfers and that whole side of the tour, and then also all the programs that they're doing on a community level. I think was it the Rising Tides? I can't remember what it's called, but
what are some of the plans for the club? What do you hope to achieve? Are there goals? Are there markers or things you're looking to achieve with it?
I just want to jump back really quickly. I have this. I referenced this letter to Momo the other day. In this article that Corey Schumacher, who is a queer surfer, probably everyone knows who Corey Schumacher is.
City councilman in San Diego, right?
Carlsbad City Council member, yes. So she has this article in this Critical Surf Studies reader that Duke University Press put out a few years ago, and there's this letter that she reprints, and it's addressed to the Women's International Surfing Association by the president of the American Surfing Association. So I think WISA got the ASP became a thing, and WISA got pushed out by that. But in the first, so this is in 1982, and in the first paragraph,
I love how you just have this within arm's reach.
My room is very small. Everything's in arm's reach. So there was a gay surfing league, and there was some the president of the Gay Surfing League castigated the president of the American Surfing Association for a private letter that I had written to so and so, which he says put down gays, and he indicates as being widely distributed. And then this president is very upset that people are distributing his private letters. But he says in this letter, let's see, where does it say? We do not permit gays in USIC. I don't know what that is. Nor shall we, whatever the pressure. The recent incident in San Diego County of an NSSA officer being arrested on the beach during a competition because he is wanted for molesting boys in 4 states proves my decision is correct. So we see baked into the architecture of professional surfing this rampant homophobia, right? And that's this is a classic homophobic thing.
What year was this again?
Gay people are predators and this and that. Mm-hmm. But that's that's coming from the top, and that's right into it. That was in 1982.
Wow.
Which granted is a long time ago, but
not that long ago.
Not that long ago. And when those are the people writing the rules and making the decisions, I know that WISA was kind of there was an attempted an attempted coalition between straight and lesbian surfers, and when WISA got absorbed into the ASP, gay women got pretty much pushed out. So that's really, I think part of Karen, to what you were saying, the reason that it's happening now and it hasn't happened before is this stuff is still really fresh.
Right.
Please send me that article. I would love to read that, actually. That's really interesting.
And also interesting coming out of the 70s. I think a lot of the feminist movements, and maybe in sports, there's always this need to prove that female athletes aren't gay because, they needed to be, already they were too masculine and they needed to sell the sport in a certain way. And, it's, again, these binaries and the definitions of the genders it's so, arbitrary and so, specific to power structures and, traditional roles that came from the past. And it's this doesn't make any sense anymore or ever really, it just doesn't make any sense.
Karen, do you think the invention of, or the explosion of wave pools will change how people are how people are in surfing and culture?
I think so.
Because we just had this incredible experience where we surfed in the wave pool American Dreams, and everyone had a blast. Everyone knew they were going to get waves. Nobody back paddled. Everyone was cheering each other on. It was nothing but good vibes. I'm that's going to change how we perceive surfing and how society perceives it. I think that